It's Mortgage Pros 411. I am Audrey Boisno with my co-host Kevin Casey, and today we are joined by Josh Pitts, not to be confused with Joshua Pitts. What was your middle name again?
Michael.
Joshua Michael Pitts. We were discussing what his mom says when he's in trouble. Anyway, Josh, I don't know why I'm going to call you Joshua the whole time. Sorry.
It's all good.
Shred You Coaching. It's a community, Josh. Tell us about it.
Yeah, first and foremost, very excited to be hanging out with you and Kevin. You guys have been longtime friends. I love, and I've told you this before, so proud that you guys are doing this to promote all our mortgage professional friends out there, continue to grow the mortgage industry. So huge kudos to you guys because you've been doing this for a while. But yeah, Shred Media, we've been around for 6 years. We're going on 6 years, which is crazy. We launched our Shred You coaching community last October, because we saw that mortgage professionals, I'm just going to be flat out honest, they suck at social media. They don't get it. They need to understand the simplicity of it. Social media shouldn't be difficult. It is designed to be simple. It's designed to be personal. It's designed to build relationships, which all you mortgage professionals and real estate professionals out there, that's what we do anyway. So we break it down. Our Shred You community breaks it down for them, how to simply show up, which I'm all about, on social media so you can build a brand and truly build your business using social media. So that's what Shred You is all about.
Oh my God. So for anyone who's listening to Josh thinking he's on double time, we've like sped him up. No, this is how he normally talks. The speed he normally talks. Yeah.
Always.
And by the way, I'm thinking maybe last week's debacle demands a little explanation, nothing serious, but just an acknowledgement that for the first time in over 3 years of doing this show, we had an unexpected technical problem that we could not overcome in the amount of time we had to overcome it. So with that, things happen, people, as you know, and we are very sorry, but thank you to Josh for being so flexible and being here this week instead of last week. And to all of you who reached out and said you missed us, thank you. That means a lot to us, and we're really sorry. Good Lord.
We ran into little Zoom security issues.
Oh my God. This is what happened when a tech company thinks that you don't need a human to answer the phone. So like no customer service, like you have to email, do this. It's ridiculous. That company, for all that they do, that's good. It's the one simple thing they could fix that they don't. It drives me nuts. So with that, here we are today. Oh, thank God. Okay. So I was telling Josh that someone reached out to me yesterday after hearing that he was going to be on the show and wanted to hear his thoughts on the fact that BuzzFeed News is shutting down. So they've cut their workforce. They won a Pulitzer Prize last year, and they are winding it down. What do you think about that, Josh? And how does that impact anyone, if at all?
It doesn't impact our industry at all. Like that, I'll just be blatantly honest. The mortgage real estate industries, literally, this was, it's funny, and it's a play on words. This is just buzz going around the industry right now. BuzzFeed was a very relevant, I will say it was a very relevant media outlet. I followed BuzzFeed very closely. I thought it was interesting. Here's one thing. It's funny. I actually had a conversation with a good friend of mine who's in the industry, because he asked the same thing. He's like, what are your thoughts on this? I'm glad that Shred Media is not a media company like BuzzFeed. BuzzFeed was all about, and this just shows that when it comes to human attention, when it comes to the importance of truly bringing value to a community and bringing value to your viewers, to your basically whoever your community is critically important. One of the reasons BuzzFeed got itself into a lot of trouble is they were always about talking about, I like to call it, there's plenty of words out there. There's plenty of things that people call it, but people like to call it fake news, or they always are always talking about, there were attention grabbing subjects, and they always had very, very misleading titles of like, oh my gosh, this is happening. And you click on it and it's like, well, that's not real. Yeah. It's like, well, that's not really happening. And if you actually read into it, and if you did your own like deep dive into it, you're like, well, so they were always, again, it was very, clickbaity, as I like to call it. They did a ton of clickbait. And this is something I have stayed away from. Every once in a while, I will put up a title to get people's attention. And I've been accused of clickbaiting in the past too. And you can call it what it is, but I've always been very direct when it comes to my conversation. If I'm saying something, I actually really mean it. But BuzzFeed was known for being very clickbaity within the media realm. And again, not providing the whole story. They provided the pieces that got them eyeballs and viewership, but it didn't really give you the value you as a consumer or you as a reader really wanted to get. So all media outlets out there should take a huge page and like learn from BuzzFeed. BuzzFeed's huge. You mentioned they had a Pulitzer, like they're a big deal in the world of media, in the world of attention. One thing that they did very poorly too, and I'll just kind of, and I'll call it as it is, they didn't use social media the best. If you went and followed their platforms, and everybody knows I'm a big social media guy, but they did terrible at that. They were the traditional style media. They loved email campaigns. And again, if you were on their email list, I could pull up my email list of BuzzFeed and show you, again, dozens of clickbaity emails that I never read because I just tuned them out. I was so tired of the same old clickbait or same old, I was like, you know what, who cares? So, and this is a great lesson for all you mortgage professionals and all you traditional mortgage media outlets. Like, people get tired of the same old shit. You got to be willing to give them the true value that they want, that's going to help them build their business or help them go out and do something valuable for their community. So very, very interesting. BuzzFeed went out of, again, it's still not completely, there's still rumors that they're being bought, that they're going to, even that in and of itself. It's funny, when I heard that, Audrey, I was like, is this true? Or is this just somebody trying to get another, is this another clickbait? Like, and so the digging we've actually done, they're not going out of business. And as a matter of fact, rumor has it they're being purchased. They're being acquired by another company that's going to kind of do a rebrand, if you will. Especially, here's the thing too, with AI becoming what it is, ChatGPT, and so many other ones, companies like BuzzFeed that have done the traditional style of marketing and traditional style news and media, they are going to be a thing of the past. So it will be interesting to actually see what happens with BuzzFeed.
Wow. Okay. So it's interesting when you talk about clickbait and the headlines. We've talked about that for more than 3 years. Like the fact that the headlines are such a bunch of garbage. So yeah, read the article. And so I was talking to a reporter recently who contacts me, periodically. And I said, what the heck is the deal with that? It is so annoying. It's so misleading, terrible for the consumer because they don't know what they're reading, or for anyone who's reading the headline thinking, okay, this is what's going on. And she said, it's the editors who make the switch. So the reporters write the articles and then the editors want to grab a headline. So basically we need to put the editors in timeout. They need to revise their evil ways, and then we can move forward with some better reporting. What do you say?
No, this is, you're 100% right. And this is why I love social media, and everybody listening today, that's why you should have creative control of the one thing that irks me, and some of you are going to be listening and you can bash me all you want, but I don't give a shit. Some of you hire marketing companies to basically market for you on social media. These are the people who are actually wrecking you, because it's the same old, and I can point out there's a few handful of marketing companies within the mortgage industry. And I know exactly when I see a mortgage professional, when I see a post come out, I'm like, oh, they're using this marketing company, because at the same time, about 7,000 posts come out from other mortgage professionals who are paying the same company. And to your point, Audrey, it's the same old clickbaity stuff. It's the same old, it's boring graphics. You should take charge. To the person that you were talking to this reporter, we all have great news to be sharing, but once you give it to somebody else, of course they're going to put their own spin on it. They want to make themselves look good. They're the ones whose name is going to be attached to it as well. So that's why, I think traditional media is definitely changing, but that's why I love the world of social media, because it's so raw, it's so real. And if you're not going to be that way, if you're going to constantly just trying to get eyeballs or viewers, in the long run, you're going to burn people out and they're going to stop listening.
Right. Historically, newspapers have paid more to the headline writers than to the writers of the articles.
Gosh, is that true? Oh,
I was going to say, I don't doubt that. I bet that's true.
Yeah, but
especially like the Inquirer and those types of rags, they pay way more for the headlines than they pay for the articles.
Okay, so I think that we have made the point, which is definitely read the article. Don't take the headline. With that being said, there is, I want to talk about this AI thing just for a minute, because it's a big deal. So we recently were experimenting with ChatGPT, and then I have a guy that I work with who showed me what their company is working on for the mortgage space. And seriously, it was the most exciting thing I'd ever seen. I mean, it is going to change how we are doing business in a really great way, potentially, as long as we keep track of it. I will say that if you do start using AI, if you are using ChatGPT, make sure that you are not cutting and pasting. You have to edit. It will give you a launch pad. It will give you an idea of where you should start with something potentially, but you have to still do some work. And it's the same, it kind of what you were saying about the marketing companies, Josh, reminded me of this, because again, if you just plug into a company and let them dictate what your messaging is, then you aren't you, and you're not conveying who you are. And maybe for some of us, that's better than actually letting everyone know who we are. But for the rest of us, like, it is better. I mean, you have to do editing. And also, I was talking to a tax person who had fed a bunch of questions into AI, tax questions, and his comment was, my job is still safe for a while, because it doesn't get it right all the time. And you know how, especially in the mortgage business, it's very specific. You know,
I had that exact experience, because they have AI chat now for our loan scenarios department. And so I typed up a loan scenario because I had a client who wanted to refinance 2 units in a 3-unit building that they owned all 3 units in the building that had been converted to condos. And that just does not fit in the box of Fannie Mae conforming. And so I typed up a letter, and I knew it was complicated. So I typed up a complicated text to the loan scenarios desk, and I immediately get back the AI responses, and they were just junk. It was just complete junk. And I had to, go through each one and say, no, this does not help, does not help. Now, it's great when I have something simple, it will reply back, oh, that's simple. It's actually easier than looking up the specs myself. I can just get the quick answer under writing guidelines. But when it doesn't fit in the box, it doesn't work. But the nice thing is you just follow up with it. You get a human and they help you out. And then it saves all that, extra time and from that department, the loan scenarios department. They can now focus on the complicated questions versus the easy ones get taken care of automatically.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't worry, I'm just doing it. I'm doing a story. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about me. I'm just gonna take a selfie.
First one, actually.
You know what, Kevin? We
go back this way and do it this way.
I want to show you two. Look at your beautiful faces. No, this is like, so to your whole, and we'll get into that, because that is how easy social media is. That's what I teach. Like, I just did a story, shared it with my community, and people are like, well, is that valuable, Josh? Of course it is. People give a shit what you're doing behind the scenes. People love the backstage passes. That's why people pay crazy amounts to be a VIP at concerts and at events, because they want to be backstage. I just shared a little snippet that I'm hanging out with Audrey and Kevin doing a podcast and doing this show, and that's valuable to my community. Well, that's a whole nother conversation. Talking about this AI thing, AI is literally one of those things. I mentioned it, but if you've ever heard me talk on a podcast or anything, ChatGPT is just an incredible resource, an incredible tool to steal like an artist. If you've ever read this book, it's literally my favorite book. It's on my shelf, like this shelf over here. Steal Like an Artist by Austin Kleon is literally one of my all-time favorite books. And some of you are like, steal like an artist, like, oh, you're like plagiarizing people. No. Steal Like an Artist, the basic concept is this, is you take an idea, because there are no original ideas anymore. If you think you have an original idea, you're wrong. We have been in this world for thousands and thousands of years. There are no original ideas. People just take it and spin it in their own way. And that's what ChatGPT is good for. Get it to give you a great conversational piece and make it yours. Put your own Audrey spin on it, because here's the thing too, is AI, yes, and it is crazy. I've been using it a lot. It has definitely, everybody knows I talk with my hands. I talk with a lot of enthusiasm. I talk with a lot of energy, and ChatGPT has completely learned me. And like, I can get it to write something in the voice of Josh, or Joshua Michael, as Audrey likes to call me. I can get it to write it in the voice of me, and it sounds like me. It's really impressive. I use a lot of adjectives. I use a lot of explicitives. So it really has learned how I talk, which is kind of cool. But even then, that is just a prompt for me to go and make it my own. That's why I love the medium of video, because the written word, you never know who actually wrote it. You never know who they could have copied. But even if, let's say Audrey writes an incredible article on first-time homebuyers, that's just who we're talking to, mortgage professionals. She writes something awesome on first-time homebuyers. I could read it and be like, that's an amazing story. I'm going to go and take it and make it my own. Audrey just gave me a great idea. She's an incredible leader in our industry. Go and make it your own. As long as you don't plagiarize. Like I said, don't copy and paste it and call it your own, even though Audrey's the one who wrote it. That is the problem with ChatGPT, is like, people can see through it. People do have a bullshit meter. They know when it's like, was that really Audrey saying that? Was that Kevin saying that? And again, that's why I love video. It is very hard to fake when you're trying to be someone else or not being yourself, and your community just doesn't appreciate it. So AI is a great tool. It's going to be incredibly beneficial. And Audrey, to your point too, I've seen some things that are going on in the mortgage industry that are very, very exciting with AI being involved. But just remember, at the end of the day, yes, it is going to replace some of us. People are like, no, it's never going to replace. Yes, it is. Don't be stupid. Of course it's going to replace some of you. I love you. I hope all of you stay ahead of the curve, which is why you should be listening to great leaders like Audrey and Kevin about the things that they're talking about. But if you want to stay ahead of the curve, take it, use it, build your brand, be out there providing value for your community, and you'll never be replaced. There will be a minute amount of people who remain in the industry because they're the ones who stay ahead of it. They're the ones who are providing value for all those people looking to achieve the dream of homeownership.
Absolutely, 100%. It is. I was talking to a non-QM person after having a conversation with a tech person who had said, LOs are going to be rendered obsolete, which has been the conversation as long as I've been in the industry, which is 600,000 years. So I went to a non-QM lender and I said, all right, what are your thoughts on this? And they said, not going to happen in the non-QM world. And the reason is because Wall Street will pay more for tough loans than they will for easy loans, right? And so there is a market out there for this. The other thing too is, like if you're using Condor, to underwrite your files and it's it's AI, sorry, an AE, that's an easy loan. Exactly. But it still requires a human to interact with the human typically, because most people have questions or there's some strategy involved or whatever. So, but you are going to have to work to stay relevant in this business. But here's a thing about this business. Now, let's see if this works. Kevin, what are you today? Just note that I didn't say how. What are you today?
I'm busy.
Oh, God, it worked. It's a miracle. Okay. I wasn't sure he'd remember from 2 hours.
Earlier this morning when you asked me how it was this way, and I said, I'm busy. I got all these calls coming in, and yes.
Yes. Okay.
And now you get busy by being busy.
Right. What have you been doing, Kevin?
Going out there, doing social stuff, having one-to-ones, coffee, tea, have a lunch with somebody. That's how you get busy.
Was that happening when you were holed up in your house like a hermit?
No, I had to get out of the house in order to get busy.
Yeah. Are you hearing this, guys? You cannot sit at home and just do this. And this, by the way, was the sentiment last week. I was at an event in Irvine. I can't remember what the heck it was called. Anyway, it was jam-packed. There were tons of LOs. There was a huge buzz. And there is this sense that people are feeling that there's a shift, right? Like that we have hit the bottom of this, fun that we've been in, this little break. Remember, Josh, when it was 2020, 2021, and people are like, I'm so tired, I need a break. And I kept saying, people, be careful of what you wish for, because we go in cycles and you're going to get a break and you're not going to like it. And then 2022 happened and here we were. So with that being said, there is a shift. There is business out there. People are wanting to buy a house or houses or invest.
People still getting divorced. People are still dying. It's still happening.
That's
can't stop it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. And by the way, I just want to say thank you to the people who came up to me in Irvine and said really nice things or introduced themselves or wanted to take their picture. It was just like, we do this every week and we sit in our offices and we talk to you, but we can't see you and we can't talk to you. And so just hearing from people, oh my God.
Love it.
Loved. I loved it. I had tears in my eyes a couple times. That's how much I loved it. So with that being said, there are a lot of things that we can do to drive business, right, Josh Pitts? So number one, work on difficult loans, right? Those people, the loans that are being done, when I'm talking to AEs who are really swamped, when I'm talking to LOs who are really working, I mean, Kevin, the loans you've got, are they cookie cutter?
No, God, no.
Yeah,
No.
me either. I mean,
no.
everything I've got has got a little hair on it. You know, you're
Yeah.
having to work through something. It's not easy, right? But those are the loans that are out there. Cash out refinances, self-employed borrowers, turn downs, first-time home buyers, credit problems. And on that, we're going to have Anthony Hutchinson with Vantage Credit. I think we've mentioned this, that Fannie Freddie are rolling out a new credit model that they're going to be using starting in 2024. And it's not the same credit criteria that the three bureaus have been using traditionally, which means that your borrower with an 800 score might not have an 800 score or whatever it's going to be under Vantage. So we need to be able to understand.
And there's stuff you're doing today that's going to affect your score 2 years from now that you need to fix now.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
it goes back to now, even though it doesn't take place for 2 more years.
Yeah, so we have to stay on top of this, but this gives you things to do, reasons to talk to your borrowers, reasons to post on social media. So Josh, when you're telling people to post on social media, what are you telling them to do?
Oh, this is a fun question because there's so many different answers, so many different directions we can go with this. When I tell people to post on social media, 99% of the time, number one, they're not going to do it, which is frustrating. But number two, you need to just be posting, like you need to be showing up. Because I guarantee there's a pretty, you guys have a substantial audience and a great community here that you built. But everybody on this call, the first thing they want to do when they go out, especially if they're just getting started, Audrey, is they want to post something about business. They're like you're talking about, like, oh, credit scores, or the whole buzz talking about like clickbait headlines about, you know, FHA's new guidelines and mortgage insurance premiums and this and that. Everybody wants to run out and think they're educating their community with those things. And that's the first thing they want to post. And I'm just like, nobody cares. Like they really don't. If you're just getting like back into it, or you're like, oh, I've heard the social media thing, I really need to start posting. The most valuable thing that you can be doing right now is just sharing you. Like I said, I did a quick story, and I want to kind of preface this in this way, because so many, as mortgage professionals, we want to be valuable. Like you're mentioning, Audrey, we want to be valuable to our communities. And there's a time to be sharing those mortgage tips and strategies and the information. You're full of all the great stuff. We know you're incredibly educated. You have a great career within the mortgage industry. But if you're just really trying to build a brand, if you're really just trying to get reactive on social media, or even if you say that you're active, which many of you are like, oh, I'm active on social media, but are you actually posting? Are you engaging? We can get in that in a minute. But if to your question, what you need to be posting is about you. You need to get your community to trust you again. Going back to Kevin's busy right now because he's out there. He's meeting people. He's having the conversations. He's building those relationships. Social media is that. Instead of making the dials, instead of picking up the phone and actually calling people, calling realtors or referral partners directly, you're posting content, you're making posts that are valuable, that are building that relationship. So that's what you need to start posting right now. And like I said, don't run out and just make a post, because one of the most valuable things that you can do for your community right now is truly just make them smile or make them think. I want you to think about that for a second too, because so many people are like, well, that's not valuable. It actually is. Let's think about the human brain, and let's think about how humans are actually programmed. If I see a post from Audrey and she posts something, let's just say it's funny or entertaining, or maybe it's just a post of her and her family. Maybe it's just a post of her and Kevin out having a drink, enjoying something as friends in their community, whatever it is. I see that. It makes me smile. Now, I want you to think about this. I'm taking this deep for all of you so you can understand this, because so many of you are thinking like, I can't just post something like that, Josh. It's not valuable. Yes, it is. I'm getting there. It's been proven. Humans, as we are programmed, as our brain sees that post from Audrey and Kevin, I smile. And when we all know, when we smile, that produces serotonin. That produces literally a chemical reaction that happens in our brain and within our body that actually connects me more with Audrey. I'm like, oh my gosh, I see this post. I smile. Now I just got a connection, a deeper, meaningful relationship with Audrey over a simple post that she just wanted to share because she was doing something fun with her friend Kevin. I want all of you to take that away today, because so many of you think social media is just a platform to build your business. It's a platform to build relationships. If you're just in it for the business right now, you're going to lose long-term. Like BuzzFeed. BuzzFeed was all about the business. That's why they're having so many issues. If they would have been focused on the relationship, trying to build that first, then it is a long-term gain. Y'all don't just start dating your significant other overnight. You don't buy them one drink. It's not a one night stand. Social media is not that game. It's a long term. I know, Audrey, sorry. This is rated PG-13 for our community today, but it's a long-term game. Y'all got to be playing the long-term game of social media or you're losing. And the long term is build that trust. Build that confidence, share the things behind the scenes of your life. And again, I know it's a very personal decision. If you want to share family, if you want to share kids and talk about clickbaity, some people just do it to get the likes and the follows. Don't do it for that. I share my kids on my social media. Follow me on Instagram, follow me on Facebook, follow me on the different platforms. You'll see how I do it. I share my family because they're a huge part of my life. And when I see a post from somebody else who has kids, I say, holy crap, we've got a mutual, like they have a 10-year-old. I've got a 10-year-old. Like I know exactly what they're going through. That just puts us in a mutual connection, a mutual relationship of having something similar in common. So to your point, I know that was a very long explanation, but I need that to set in with everybody, especially all you mortgage professionals who are top producers. This talking about where the future of our industry is going. If you don't have a real relationship, if you don't have a real connection with your consumer, with your client, with your community, there are other people, there are other companies. I mean, let's just call it as it is. Rocket Mortgage, sure, their numbers were down. They just posted numbers are down, but they're spending millions of dollars to be in front of your consumer, millions of dollars every single month. And the only way to compete is to truly build a relationship with your community.
I agree with that. I think that some of us struggle with, people say, oh, see you online with your family all the time. Let me tell you, my mother's posting those. I mean, you will never, I don't think I've ever posted or rarely, let's go with rarely. Cause who knows, maybe not never, but my mother, we call her Nanny Woo, and she is constantly with the pictures, all about her family, posting online all the time, loves to do that. I'm really shy about that for some reason. I don't feel like anyone is going to give a crap about what I'm doing or want to see it. And so anyway, so I don't, how do we get through that? How do we change that in ourselves, Josh? That's what we really need to know, because that's what stops a lot of us is,
yes.
Why would anyone care?
Okay, this is good. And to answer Mark Avila's question too, I don't have kids. That's fine. You have pets. You want to talk about something that's even more valuable than pets or valuable than kids is pets. Like people, 100%. There's a ton of people out there that don't have kids right now that just have pets. So showing you interacting with them, interacting with your dogs, you can do those type of things, Mark. And it sounds like, yeah, exactly. So to Kevin's point and to your point too, Audrey. So many of you guys know, a lot of people don't know, I am actually a licensed loan officer. Still am to this day, still have an origination license in the state of Utah. I do not actively originate. I am very honest with that, but I've owned a mortgage company. I come from a background of mortgage. Thus why I'm in the media side of this industry, because I understand it. But I built my business back in the day completely off social media and sharing my hobbies and interests. For anybody who's here in Utah, or if you've ever seen some of my old posts, back in the day, I was known as the outdoor LO in the state of Utah. I love mountain biking, hiking. I was creating groups on Facebook to go mountain biking and just saying, hey, who wants to go ride these trails, next weekend? Through posting my hobbies, through my mountain biking posts, I literally connected with one of the top realtors in the state of Utah. I didn't even know it. I had no idea they were a top realtor. We're out there pedaling along, just having a good time, building a relationship. We get to the top of this ride and it's just amazing. And he's like, oh, Josh, by the way, I heard you're a mortgage professional from somebody else in the group. I'm like, oh yeah, I am. What do you do? And he's like, oh, I'm a realtor. I'd love to connect and like discuss business. From my hobby of riding bikes with him, he became a referral partner. Him and I went on to do hundreds of transactions together. Wow. And I never would have met him if I wasn't posting about mountain biking. Like he's like, dude, I thought you were cool. I saw you mountain biking. I have a passion for mountain biking. We went on to add hundreds of people to that group. And we went on to do literally through that group, we did hundreds of transactions together, but sharing a personal hobby. That's it. To your point too, Audrey, people are like, well, are people really going to care about what I'm posting? Of course they are. Like humans care about other humans. And even if I am a dog guy, I have 2 dogs, but let's just go back to Mark's point. Let's just say you don't like dogs. We as humans still be like, oh, Mark's posting about his dogs. That's great. That may not interest me, but there's a dozen other people that it does interest. Right. So just be posting the things that are interesting to you. You don't have to care about truly entertaining the masses. All you need is a few hundred people. I love people too, when they come to me or they come to Shred You and they're like, Josh, I want to get to 100,000 followers. I'm like, good luck. I'm not going to coach you because you truly don't want 100,000 followers. Like, you don't need them either. You want an engaged community that cares about the things that you care about. And to find 100,000 people that care about mortgage, that's just not going to happen. Like, straight up, there's too many people. Like, there's influencers in this industry who are like, well, I have 100,000 followers. You bottom. Like, I'm just going to say it as it is. If you want to argue against me, I dare you to argue against me in this industry because I have the data and analytics to back me up. Sorry. You say I get on my.
People care about mortgages maybe 5 times in their whole life. When they buy the first house, refinance it, buy the second house, refinance it, maybe refinance third time, and then they don't care anymore.
See, but to this point too, and Kelly, you mentioned I'm the same way as Audrey. Most people are. And that's what our Shred You community, what we help people do is overcome that mindset. Is you just have to start sharing the things that are important, whether you feel like your community is going to care or not. That's why I love Facebook and Instagram stories, because it's just sharing what's going on. I just did a quick story. How long did it take me? It took me less than 2 seconds. You saw me do a quick snap. I'm sharing it with my community. Like, that's it. People want to see those things. Our brains, because of media, the traditional media outlets, it's the Foxes, the CNNs, the CNBC, everything else, our brain has been tuned and programmed to see, we want to know what's going on. So why not be the one who's sharing the things that are going on in your life? They do care. And again, even if those 10 people care, or only 10 people care, that's 10 people you've got an incredible relationship with. That's what's important.
So I guess I should stop rolling my eyes when someone posts that they made blueberry muffins because I just don't care.
Yes, 100%. Like, because it's important to them. Like, funny enough, I love blueberry muffins. Like, so if I saw somebody blueberry muffin post, I'm like, I want to see how they made this recipe. Let's figure it out.
Oh my God. Of course you would.
Food is one of those things too. People are always like, oh, isn't it cliche, Josh? Like, isn't it weird to post my blueberry muffins recipe? Hell no. We as human beings, we all eat food. Like, that is one thing that we all have in common is food. So whether you roll your eyes or not, what's even funnier, let's take this to the next level, Audrey. You saw it and rolled your eyes, but you could probably tell me who made that post, couldn't you?
No.
Oh, see, I could. If I saw somebody make a blueberry, I'd be like, oh, well, Kevin made that post. So I can, again, even though I was not interested in it, I'm like, oh, Kevin made that post. So it caught my attention. Like, it's just like, that's what social media is.
If it was Kevin making that post, I would have followed up with Kevin and given him a lot of crap about it. But I guess now I will reform and not do that. Jill made the comment, go to an event, do a selfie there, a parade, a picnic, a walk on the beach, in the woods, on a hike. All right, Jill, I want you to make sure you send me your posted selfies that you do at those events. But to Josh's point, you're right. We have to push ourselves. I'm uncomfortable doing that. I'm always telling my kids, you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Like, you have to push yourself. I have not done that. And we have somebody on here like you who says you should do this. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it. And then I don't. Kevin, what do we do about this? Because they keep telling us we got to do this for Mortgage Pros 411 too, right? Is you've got to post on social media. You have to do all these things. And I'm like, oh God, does anyone really want to see that? So I never do it. Never. So, okay, I guess we need to join Shred You.
Let's get you guys in. I'd love to have you guys part of our Shred You community. And so many of those who have the question, and to Jill's even, it's simply sharing the things that are important to us, because that community that you are building, it is important to them. And if it's not important to them, get them out. Well, you don't care. Like, they're following you I always tell people when somebody's like, well, they're part of my following, so I have to make sure they're entertained. No, you don't. Like, if they decide they followed you for a reason, you didn't force somebody to follow you. So right. If they want to follow you, they can choose to follow you. If they don't, they can unfollow you. I unfollow people all the time. I'm going to give you all a hint. Y'all want to know how I do this? Especially my Facebook in particular, I love when it's somebody's birthday because it sends me a notification. I go and look, and if I have not engaged with that person in the last year, I unfriend them on their birthday. Like, it is my favorite thing to do. Like, I hate saying it, and be like, dude, he's a monster. No, I'm not, because especially if I haven't engaged with you in the last year, you have no idea that we were even friends. So it's totally fine. And you have a dozen other people wishing you happy birthday on your birthday anyway. It doesn't notify you like, hey, Josh Pitts unfriended you on your birthday. You better message him. Who gives a crap? Like,
oh my God, I'm totally gonna notice. And by the way, we're interacting now. So if you don't say happy birthday to me on my birthday, it's going to be a problem. Okay. I'm just going to say it. Okay. So let's talk about this. So here's what I do. I am not, when it's Audrey's birthday, I'm not going to go post on her feed so that other people can see it. A lot of people like to use that tactic to get in front of their community because it goes on your wall.
I think that's bull crap. If I really want, like, if you are a friend of mine, I'm going to send you a personal message, like, and it's usually a video message. It's simply like, Audrey, my dear, I love you. I hope you're having a fantastic birthday. Party hard and don't forget me. That's it. But I'm sending you that directly in your messages, but I'm not posting on your wall. I don't want to get
So I just had my birthday on Friday. And I got a video from someone we all know. I won't say who it was. Fred Arnold down in Southern California.
Oh yeah, Fred's good. He's actually part of Shred U. Fred is part of Shred U. There you go.
Yeah,
he's a great guy.
And he sent me an Instagram. I don't even use Instagram. It's the only Instagram I got like in weeks, months. But it was, hey Kevin, just thinking of you. Missed you at the event the other day, and want to wish you a happy birthday. And I was like, that was so cool. I was like, damn, that was really like all the things I got that day for my birthday. Like, that was the one cool thing. So thank you, Fred.
That is really great. Although Kevin has a fake birthday on his on one of those things. And so he knows that when the people who post there, they don't know him that well because it's not his real birthday.
Oh yeah, so I'm a big advocate of not putting your real birthday into Facebook, because that's
Kevin has a real birthday and a fake.
Your ID is they got your social security number. All they need to go is Facebook, get your date of birth, and they're set. Right. And don't putting the date year you're born doesn't work, because everyone will say happy 50th birthday. Oh, I can do math and figure out what year they were born.
Oh my God, you're so paranoid. Okay, speaking of paranoia.
Seriously.
Well, probably not speaking of paranoia. It's important that everyone is aware that we are going to have the consumer price index come out tomorrow. And if you recall, since January, Barry Habib and his crew have been suggesting that we circle the date May. What is it tomorrow? The 11th, 10th, 11th? Yeah, one of those. Whatever tomorrow is. Circle it on your calendar, because that's the day we're going to have the turn in inflation, and everything will start to get better in terms of rates. And over the weekend, we had a little revision from a few people. So JP Morgan came out and said that their estimates for inflation numbers were going to be higher. Goldman Sachs did the same thing. So there are still a few people out there who are saying, oh, it's going to stay, it'll stay where they had thought it was going to be in January. But there is some concern that maybe the number will come in worse than expected tomorrow. So I would just like to say, first of all, that so watch it tomorrow, be on alert. So core CPI or CPI might be a little worse tomorrow than they thought it was going to be. Tomorrow may not be the day. You may have to encircle May, whatever it is. And I also would like to give a little kudos, and Kevin will probably back me up on this, because at least MBS Highway and Barry Habib admitted that there might have been a shift and that they might be wrong. And they explained why, and it all made perfect sense. We have a gripe with the numbers that come out that are wrong, dead wrong. And then there are these
from the government,
BLS being my favorite to talk about, Bureau of Labor Statistics. They come out, they're so wrong. And then they come out and have these massive revisions later, and it moves the markets. And not usually for the better. I mean, if it's for the better, we're cool with it. But if it's for the worse, not cool with it.
If a company did that, they'd be out of business.
Oh my God, it blows me away. So there was this post, and poor Elliot, Dr. Elliot Eisenberg, I have badgered and bullied that poor man over and over again over this subject. So his post yesterday, because the April payrolls came in last Friday. April payrolls grew a surprisingly strong 253,000. The unemployment rate fell to a 55-year low of 3.4%. He also noted that the rate for Black Americans hit an all-time low, and month-over-month wage growth was reasonably hot at 0.5%. But February and March job growth was reduced by 149,000 jobs. Did you get that? 149,000 jobs, and it was almost split. It was very close between the two months. Like one was 71,000, one was 79,000. The 3-month average employment growth was 222,000, the weakest since January of 21. Very, very slowly gives the Fed cover to hold, but not cut. So in other words, we know the Fed raised the rates last week, a quarter. Then we get this jobs report. It comes in, and they've partly made their decision on these crap BLS jobs numbers that were posted for February and March. And then we get a huge revision on Friday. And again, and Elliot, I literally emailed him and I said, so did you see my eyes rolling from here, all the way in Miami? And he's like, what? And so he and I go back and forth because the economists are comfortable with wrong job numbers. And their point is, if we wait for the numbers to be right, then it will be old data. And I keep arguing, why is old data worse than wrong data? I don't understand. I will never understand. If there's anyone here who can enlighten me, I would be so grateful.
I don't get why they can't get the numbers right. With computers these days, they should be able to come up with the right number.
Right. Maybe in 1972, when they didn't have computers, maybe, but now, really? Oh my God.
It's false media yet again. There you go.
Yeah.
Right. Only it's our government. And how much do we pay for BLS? And by the way, it begged the question, who produces the PPI numbers and CPI numbers? And if it's BLS, I'm going to be on a rampage. I'm just telling you. So I saw something that made me ask that question. I haven't gotten the answer yet, so stand by. In other news, we have, so there is this thing called SLOOS. I've never heard it referred to like that. It's an acronym for Senior Loan Officer Opinion Survey. That's for you,
Oh,
Kevin.
I heard about this the other day.
Yes. Yeah. Well, because
I was like, hey, no one asked
It's
me.
because you're a senior, because I haven't heard
Okay,
about this. So
this is what, okay, so interesting you say that, because that's exactly, I actually wrote down the exact, how they come up with it. This is a survey. This is verbatim from the Fed's website. This is a survey of up to 80 large domestic banks and 24 US branches and agencies of foreign banks. So they do the survey quarterly, plus, generally when they feel like it, apparently, plus they do 1 or 2 extra a year. And so they ask questions of people. So these are clearly people at banks. They're at banks. They're not us, right? So here's what they were saying. So the Federal Reserve definition, that is the Federal Reserve definition. So they have had tighter standards, weakening demand for all real estate loans except for GSEs, because they don't tighten the standards on GSA loans because they sell them off, right? But they've tightened their standards around every other kind of lending. And they are, there was something else I was going to tell you about that. Anyway, bottom line is they think that the credit quality is going to deteriorate going forward on everything. And so that, I thought that was interesting, but what I thought was good for us is thus: if the banks are tightening their credit standards and they're lending less in every aspect, then what is that for us? It's an opportunity. That is our job. It's our time to go in there. You go pick up the lenders who are using these banks, right? Because their borrowers are in trouble. And on that, First Republic, their Eagle Community Home Loan Program, it is dying on the vine. It's not all the way dead. The website's still up. But now that Chase has taken over First Republic, not only have their rates gone from 3.25% to like 6.2 to 6.5%, they are also, the buyers who were pre-approved under that program thinking they were getting 3.25%, those guys are in trouble. So make sure you're reaching out to your realtors, make sure they don't have borrowers that have been using First Republic and were thinking that they were pre-approved on a program that may not exist anymore. And at the very least, I read that they need to get reapproved. Okay, so if they had a pre-approval, they have to go get approved again now that Chase has taken over First Republic. Okay.
Well, you know what? It's also good just to reach out and talk to other bankers from the big banks. The 3-unit condo I was talking about earlier, that came from a bank that they couldn't do that deal. But at the same time, I had a deal this morning for someone who is in New York State, and that's the one state our company can't lend in, which, like most mortgage banks, and so that's a perfect referral for a banker because they can lend in every state there is. And
most of them,
it's an easy switch, and I'm pretty sure I get more business from him than I ever send that way.
Did you say loans were easy? Huh.
No.
Okay.
I'll get a source of referrals.
Okay. In other news, Mortgage Bankers Association has said that credit availability fell to its lowest level in more than 10 years. So if you're having flashbacks to 2013, that would be why. But on the flip side of that, because I am a half bowl kind of girl. Home buyers are optimistic despite good God, I can't talk. Despite difficult market conditions. That was the headline. But when you dive in, ServiceLink does a survey, and this is their survey for 2023. And they checked in with a number of people, and it wasn't two. I actually double checked on that to make sure they weren't surveying two people. 61% of millennials said they plan to consider buying a home versus 25% of Gen X, 12% of Gen Z, and 2% of baby boomers. That really doesn't count. They also said that almost half, 49%, responded to considered buying a new home in the past 12 months, but they had ultimately decided against it. But now they're looking at it again. So again, call the people that you've talked to in the last year, ask them whether they are, where they are, and talk to them about the market, which is, by all accounts, hit the bottom of, things being garbage and should start to get better. Thoughts, Josh?
Yeah, this is thoughts on all this stuff. Here's what's really interesting in all of this is, as we started this entire call, there's some really interesting data floating around. There's some really interesting numbers floating around. To what you said, Audrey, it's up to us as mortgage professionals to be there for our communities. And going to what I was talking about earlier, just because I'm talking about posting personal stuff all the time and being there doesn't mean you can't share some of these things. Know your community, know your audience, and some of these things may be very, very relevant. Share those things. Get out there. Again, look how much information you just shared with us, Audrey. I was literally, the whole time I was like, man, you could make that a quick a 1 minute video. Hey, you can make that a 30-second video. Hey, you can make that like, there's so many opportunities. People always ask me to, like, Josh, they're like, I never know what to post. I'm like, Audrey just for the last 4 or 5 minutes shares so many little pieces that you can share. You don't have to share it in a 5-minute segment. You could do it in 5 30-second segments like that. And that's how I take all of that stuff, is like, hey, share these things with your community, because back to Kevin's point, people only buy a home usually 5 times in their entire lifetime. But when it comes to like when they're up, when they're at bat, when they're buying that information, it's effective. It can be incredibly informational. So take that data, take the information that is out there and use it to your benefit. So that's how I take all of that stuff. When it comes to like this and that within mortgage, I'm like, there's changes happen. Like it changes. MBA's fact or statistics. MBA is a very good friend and client of ours. There's so much information that they're constantly sharing that, again, you can share with your community as well. So just go out there and take some of this information, and it doesn't have to be all the time. Maybe you just sprinkle it in here and there. So that's how I take all of that information, Audrey.
I'm just going to say that even though we don't always practice what we preach, we have been telling people that for years. That's literally why we pepper this little hour that we spend with people a week with that kind of information, because then they can share it with their realtors, their borrowers. They can and we always say, don't do a long thing on social media, do 30 seconds, 45 seconds, something short and sweet, because otherwise people choke and die. Right? If you're giving them too much information, then they'll stop listening. But anyway, that's why we give them that stuff. Okay. Or if they're having a conversation with a realtor who's like, oh my God, everything is sucky. No, it's not. And here's why. And here is what to look forward to. And here's what we should be doing. And we give them ideas. Right. And so it is that.
Oh, I'm actually, so this is to answer Kelly's question. Kelly, if you want to join Shred, message me, Josh at Shred Media. You can send me an email directly. You can follow me on all social channels. You're more than welcome to do that. If you guys have questions about it, reach out to me directly. I'm not a sales guy. I'm not going to even, but to this point that you're talking about here is when it comes to this, when it comes to sharing information, we should be the ones sharing it. And again, if you're not the one sharing it, they're getting it somewhere else. There's plenty of places that they can go and they can turn to get that information. So be the one who's sharing actual information for them. And to this point, I want to take it one step further, because what you mentioned, Audrey, is you really want to be valuable to your realtors right now. You really want to be a valuable resource to them. Don't be the one, I can close on time, I got the lowest rates, I got the best service. Go out there and create content with them today. So every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, part of our Shred You program, we do a weekly call for everybody in our community. And today our topic is collaboration. How do you collaborate with your realtor partners, with your CPAs, with your attorneys, with all your referral partners, past client? How do you actually create content to be valuable together? To Audrey, what you're exactly talking about, you want to be valuable to them right now? Don't talk about the boring stuff, but get them together, use some of the data, use some of the stuff that you can share with them to be valuable, and do a quick video together, highlighting them, highlighting some of the, again, the things that are important to your customers together. That is the most valuable thing that you can be doing. Take this information, utilize it with one of your referral partners. You will become the number one most trusted and most valuable person to that realtor forever. I've seen it time and time again. You have to, like Audrey, you said earlier, you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable, reach out to one of your realtor partners, do a video together on the information. You literally, they will never forget you.
Yeah. I recently signed up for a service, which I'm not going to mention until I actually work with it and figure it out. But I was talking to a realtor about it and she's like, oh my God, I'd love to do that with you. And I'm like, oh my God, what a good idea. I mean, wish I'd thought of it. So again, we have to start thinking outside of the box. We have to get back to doing things either normally or not normally, like do something different than we've ever done before, right?
Yeah, 100%. You have to be willing to do something. You have to be willing to do the things that others aren't willing to do. And these are the things that we're sharing right now. That's what you need to be doing.
That's right.
Whether you want to do them or not, you have to push yourself, because if you don't, somebody else is going to. The top 1% is going to. So you have to make the decision. Do you want to be among the elite, or do you want to be the ones who unfortunately start to be phased out here?
Well, right. And I think that, I mean, maybe it will be that extreme. Maybe it's elite and not here. I mean, maybe only people who are, maybe you won't be able to survive.
I say it's not a maybe, ladies and gentlemen. Like, I love you too, because there is no freaking maybe. You will be replaced. Like, I want to be real with all of you, because I want all of you to be among that top percent and elite. Like, you have to, please.
Okay, so we did a segment a few weeks, a month, I don't know when the heck it was ago, with a guy who has a CRM, Cimarron software. And we spent an hour talking about data, tracking, technology, and the fact that we can't ignore it anymore. Like, it is not something that you can just decide not to do and think you're going to stay alive, because everyone else is engaged. Other people, the companies, they're going to get your business if you're not out there making sure that you get the business. So, the airy fairy days of the past, that where, I'm like, oh, we're supposed to work together, we'll work together, are over. And so you better be proactive. And we were really amazed at that, on that topic, how many LOs engaged and how interested people were in there. I was really happy, because I thought this is different than anything we've ever done before. And it felt like a total crapshoot on our part. Like, let's see how this goes and see if it works. And it did. I mean, people are interested. They're starting to understand it. And again, for me, I take myself, because I came from way on one side of the spectrum, and I have now moved way to the other end of the spectrum. And I am embracing this. And if I can do it, so can you. Big time. So Joshua, please say this slowly. Okay. Slowly. I don't have a way to slow down just this one part.
Okay.
Tell people how to contact you.
Right now?
Yes. No, wait. Wait till later.
You can follow me on any social platform at Josh Pitts Live _11, or on Facebook at just Josh Pitts Live, or send me an email, josh@shredmedia.com. It is that simple. Reach out to us. We'd love to help you. We'd love to have you join our Shred You community. And if we can help you along this journey, we'd love to do that. But again, I'm truly grateful for Audrey and for Kevin this is so much fun. You guys have been friends for a very, very long time. And it's so cool to see that you're continuing to add incredible value to your community. So I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. So go out there, make it happen. And if you have questions I can help with, reach out to me.
I remember Josh when he was a baby, just starting out. Do you remember when we met at the first thing? And even then, you're like, hey, come on my thing. I'm like, no. I mean, could you have imagined then that I would be doing this for the last 3+ years? Could you have even imagined?
I'm so
I
proud
was
of you.
so reluctant. I can't even express how reluctant I was. Kevin knows. He was the bully who got me to turn on my camera. Like, if I can do it, you can do it, for goodness sake. Okay? If
Yeah,
I
I
can
remember,
do it-
Josh, remember when you first started doing your daily podcast, you made the commitment to do one a day. I think it was like number 6 that you had stayed in my place that night, and you did it
Yeah.
in your car right in front of my house.
Yeah.
Pretty funny.
And that was it perfect? No. Was the lighting great? Nope. Was the
No.
audio? No. But I
Nope.
was doing it. That's just
But
the thing. And I
doing it
committed
was
to it.
perfect. You got it done. You got all of them done. That was perfect.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. And I appreciate that Tina just stated that she friended me on Facebook, because otherwise I wouldn't know whether it was her or some guy in, some God knows what country who was trying to, do whatever that is. Anyway, I also think it's funny because before we signed on today, I was having a bad hair day. And I asked the guys, and of course they are guys, so they're like, "Oh, it looks great." It did not look great; it looks stupid. And so then I pulled it back, and I'm looking at the camera right now, and it has evolved over the last hour.
It turned back to how you started. So
It is exactly how it started. Having a terrible hair day, and it's fine. But again, we just do it. You know what I mean? We just do this. And is it perfect? God, no. Everyone who watches this every week, I think that's part of the whole thing. Is it's not perfect. It's not boring. It's not, well, maybe sometimes it's boring, but it's not typically boring, and it's not always the same. And it's not this scripted thing that if something goes wrong, we panic. We're loan officers. Okay. We're all loan officers. So guys, just take the bull by its horns and just go for it. And we are here to encourage you and help you. Josh has tons of experience with this. He's there to help you. I mean, we are so excited that people are going to grow their businesses in 2023. That's what this is all about. Okay. We were told that first quarter was going to suck, and it did. And that second quarter would start to get better, and it is. And then it's really going to pick up from here. But that's up to us. That is not if you just sit on your, oh my God, I can't even believe what I was about to say. And it wasn't what you think it was. Anyway, it wasn't good, whatever it was. You can't just sit there doing the same nothing over and over again and think you're getting a different result. Okay. 2021 and 22 or 2020 and 2021 are never coming back. They're not. Please don't ever let them come back. And because honestly, we wouldn't want that anyway. Do you really want to have all your business done by a bunch of people all in the same amount of space and time, and then have no business for the next 4 years? You know what I mean? So with that, we are very happy that you joined us today. Thank you for forgiving us for last week. It was a debacle, but things happen. And we will look forward to seeing you next Tuesday, 11 a.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern time, or wherever you are in between in the middle of the country. And with that, Josh, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Have a great week, everybody.
Good seeing you, Josh.
And make sure you check us out on YouTube, Mortgage Pros 411. Bye, guys.